Welcome back, everyone, to Pencils and Lipstick. I'm Kat Caldwell, your hostess, and this is the start of the 6th year of Pencils and Lipstick. We are celebrating 5 years in to the podcast this month in September 2024. I started this in September of 2019, a year before everything, well, I guess 6 months before everything shut down, and we continued through it. It's been a real pillar in my life where I get to talk to other people instead of just writing the voices that are in my head. It's very nice. I think we've heard from a lot of really wonderful authors and writers and people who produce things for the writing community. Now, I have to say that this summer I did actually seriously consider shutting down the podcast. It's been 5 years. It's kind of like one of those things of, have I done this enough? And is it time to shut it down? Ultimately, as you can tell, I decided to come back. We're going to change it a little bit, just a little bit. I think I've interviewed a lot of people. I have enjoyed speaking with them and hearing about what they have to say. But we are going to get even deeper into the conversational method, I think, for this podcast. Instead of the interviewing style, the casual interviewing style, I think what we are going to do is pick topics and talk about those deeper in a more casual way, open way with different guests. I did think about bringing on a partner, but honestly, with my husband's work schedule and my kids' school schedule, managing different people's schedules is quite difficult. And with as much as I travel and all that, anyway, I decided to sort of let that one go, even though I would love to, share the burden of this. And honestly, it's not really a burden. I think the biggest burden is coming up with topics that I think you all will be interested in. And so if you do have topic ideas, I have a couple lists. In fact, we are going to talk about writing with ADHD, and that's coming up next week with Paula Perhatch. She really intros that topic well and gives a really good baseline for it. And I think that I will probably look for other people who have a neurodivergence and are still really doing well in their creative life to sort of help those of us who feel a bit like we're running the rabbit wheel to find what works for us. I am going to talk about rejection with Rhonda Douglas. I don't have a date for that one yet, but we're going to talk about that. And I'll probably use that theme as well with a couple other people, because rejection is a big part of our writing career, and we are going to feel rejection, and we're going to hear rejection in the form of reviews, form of people not choosing our books to publish, in the form of whatever you pitch to not getting picked up. Maybe you don't win a contest, you don't go on to the next round, whatever it is, people buying your book but never reading it. That's a form of rejection as well, isn't it? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, research for different books. We're going to talk about mindset and imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about storytelling a lot. I'm really going to dig into storytelling because there's part of it that we have to learn, and then there's part of it in which we have to get back to that gut feeling. And I think that is a balance. I want to talk to people about what they're reading, what they're watching, what they've seen as far as that story goes, what works for it, what didn't work for them, and talk in like digging into that. So again, I hope that interests you. I will also probably interview a couple people if I find that their book is interesting or their journey is interesting. I'll bring them on. But if you guys have any things that are nagging you about story and about writing and about finishing the draft that you're trying to draft or organizing it, we'll probably have robust conversations about plotting versus pantsing versus hybrid, just talking to people about that, and just different thoughts, because I think the one thing, like as in any industry, what is taught is usually Sorry, I had to turn on my light for anyone who's viewing it on YouTube. The lighting was driving me crazy. So, what is taught usually in our industry is taught by people who are very confident in their way of doing things, and it's usually something that is easy to teach, right? And it's easily understood in a teachable manner, but that doesn't mean that it has to be done that way all the time. It's easier to teach people to write a novel linearly, to start with chapter one, chapter two, chapter three, all the way to the end. It's not as easy to teach you writing out the scenes that are in your head and then coming back and putting it together. It's just not as easy. And so, when you're putting together an online course or a workshop or whatever, I think human wise, we're going to reach for the easiest thing, right? It's easier to teach people to create a planner. It's easier to teach people to work with Notion, or any of these other productivity apps. And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. I actually really like the HB90, Sarah Cannon's course with the Kanban board and the way that she sort of has you break it down. But to be fair, I use the Kanban board, but I don't use the planner, because I think that what you have to understand about yourself, and especially the older that you get, is what works for you and what doesn't. And that's just part of life, right? And that is unfortunately trial and error. And trial and error is time has to go by for you to trial that out, right? So I want to sort of bring in people who have other things to say about the processes or about writing or about finding the story or finding the characters or figuring out the scene and the setting that isn't always talked about or taught, if that makes sense. So again, if you guys have themes or ideas or topics that you want to hear about, you can reach me at writeyourlife@katcaldwell.com. You can also reach me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. They're all below in the show notes. So as I said, next week we are having Paulette Perhatch on, so we will still be having quite a few guests. I do want you guys to know that September 24th through the 27th, I am participating in the Writing Brave Summit. That is with Brooke Adams-Law. She was on the show last year. If you guys want to listen to her, and I will link that episode in the show notes as well. But I am going to be talking about using the big 5 personality traits in creating your character. And if you go to the summit, and especially if you become a VIP, the way that summits are structured, you can attend for free, but if you get the VIP, you can get the recordings, basically. I'm teaching you something that I usually sell. So it's a really good deal to attend that Writing Brave Summit. And there's also some really great speakers there. So I think that is definitely worth your time. And it is definitely worth the $67 to get the recordings. And so I want you to know all about that. I will have the link in the show notes. I don't know if I will get the link this week, but they will be in the link in the show notes for the coming weeks as well. And I'll link her episode so you can hear all about Brooke Adams-Law. And then that same week, everything always happens at once, the 23rd, Bended Loyalty is coming out on all platforms. So yesterday, I found out I was looking for a book, and I was going to buy the Kindle book, and the Kindle book was $10, which really kind of irks me. Like, honestly, it irks me that a Kindle book is the same as a mass paperback book. I don't know about how you guys feel about that, but I find that very annoying. This was a traditionally published book. And so I looked on Barnes & Noble for it because they usually have better paperback, mass produced, the mass market. And it was also on the Nook. So I guess that everyone knows this, and I am just late to the game, but I did not realize that traditionally published authors could be in KU. So it wasn't just in Kindle, it was in KU. And they can be on Nook. If you don't know, if you are independently published, you can only be in KU exclusively. You are not allowed to be anywhere else if you decide to be in KU, but apparently not if you are a traditionally published author. I think you can tell how annoyed I am about this. It just annoys me. I think it's like the Americanism in me of like, we're all supposed to be equal. Oh, but we all know we're not. And it's just one more show to us that we are definitely not equal. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? I looked at different forums, and of course, there were people that were like, yeah, but they don't get paid out of the fund, they get paid out of something else. And I just don't care about how the payment structure is. I feel like don't be in KU then. Like that is the whole point of KU. You get paid from the fund, apparently. So I don't know. It just annoys me. If you have any thoughts on it, let me know. If you have a way to calm me down and calm my annoyance, let me know. I just feel like it is that constant divide of traditionally published authors up here and you independents down there. And that divide might not ever really be merged. I'm not sure that it will be merged. Weirdly enough, it doesn't matter how many books you sell, right? It just doesn't matter. You can't really merge that, and you're going to be treated differently by publishers, by editors, by bookstores, by readers. Anyway, so Bended Loyalty is out September 23rd. It's going to be published wide, which means it is not in KU. You can buy it in Kindle. So if you are part of the KU program and that is all that you read, I'm sorry. It's not going to be in KU because I like to have my books wide. You can also order it from me. That will be set up as well, and it will be $1 cheaper than if you buy it from Amazon. Now, because I'm not in KU, I also can't do coupons in Amazon either. So, there's that. There are times that Amazon just chooses to reduce the price, but you just sort of have to be around to see that. They never notify me, which is annoying, so I can't really tell anybody about it. But you can just sort of keep your eye on it. You can follow it. You can follow me on Amazon, and it will let you know. I have spent all summer just trying to get my BookBub followers up. Like, literally, that has been my main goal, because another thing that I didn't realize is that once you hit the 1,000 followers, they will automatically tell everyone that you follow every time your new book comes out. Why didn't I know this? I don't know. I tend to not like these online places, this, BookBub, Goodreads, this sort of mass coming together of people. I find getting to 1,000 very intimidating. And in fact, it did cost quite a bit of money because you can't buy followers, but you can participate in a lot of, promotions and sales and giveaways that the people have to like follow you on BookBub in order to possibly win something and all that. So I guess they're all giveaways. And then I have been asking people to follow me on BookBub, and I am at 690. So still quite far away. I started at 154. So, we've gotten quite far in the last 2 months. But if you have not followed me on BookBub and you are on BookBub and you don't mind following me, I would really appreciate if you do. Tell everyone else if you know about them on BookBub. You literally can't do much on BookBub unless you have 1,000. Or you're traditionally published. But I digress. We will leave that there. And then if you guys want a little taste of the Bended duet and you're not sure if you want to buy it, you can still get the Bended Dream, Bended Duet prequel, which is called Bended Dream. The link is in the show notes below. You get my prequel through BookFunnel. It loads easily onto any of the ebook apps that you have. And it's like 6 chapters. I think it's like an under 90-minute read. It's really easy. It's just sort of why Tristan left home. It's a fun little read. So you can get a taste of my writing, about what the story might end up being about. And then Bended Love will be out October 21st. I'm very excited about that. So I'll be talking more about those on TikTok and on Instagram Reels. I'm really pushing myself to be present there, even though I feel like I'm too old to be there. But you can find out more about them there if you want to. So I also did one other thing this summer. I started I really developed my Substack. I've been thinking about this for a while. I want a place that I can put my ideas and put my short stories and put my little stuff, kind of like a blog, but a place that people might find it. Now it's very small right now. I just opened it, and quite frankly, I opened it and then I have quite a few posts there, but I haven't done much to promote it. So if you don't like being on newsletters, or you want extra, or if you just really love Substack, you can go to Substack, and you can find me there at lessonsonstory.substack.com. The link will be in the show notes below. So right now, all of my writing tips and topics and thoughts are free. They're completely free. The part that is paid at the moment are my short stories, in which I include, if I wrote them for a contest, I include all of the critique that I got back from the judges, so that you can see what judges are looking at when they are looking at short story. I find it very interesting to see what they are looking for, why they would, choose my story to go forward or not go forward. In fact, thinking about that, I should probably tell you which stories allowed me to go forward and not. But I think that you can learn almost as much from the critique of what the judges liked and what they didn't like as you could from reading craft books. It's quite impactful. So that part is paid, and it's very small to subscribe, a very like $5 a month, I think, or $60 a year. I'm just looking for different ways to share my work, but also be paid for it. So I share quite a lot for free. You can also watch the podcast there for free. You can watch it on YouTube, but there are things that I don't want to share for free either. Just my creative work, my creative ideas. I do want to be paid for that. I don't think there's any other way to say that. So I did start my Substack, and I'm at a whole 10 followers. Like the follower thing these days, man. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. But if you do like Substack, or if you like to get more writing tips, if you want to hear my thoughts about them, I'm working on one now about just the luck of timing in this industry. I'm going to talk about sort of reviews, and I'm thinking about having a section that is a bit tongue-in-cheek on the reviews and how helpful, quote unquote, they are. Just fun things. I want to be a little bit more fun over there, maybe more tongue-in-cheek, a little bit more myself. And so you can see if I am your cup of tea or not. My newsletter, a lot of times I do have some of the same topics, but the tone is different in my newsletters. My newsletter, I try to keep shorter and much more reserved tone, professional guys. So those are kind of the new things that I did this summer. I also did a solo escape, a writing retreat. I'm going to have a couple of people talk about that, those people who have done that as well, and talk about, the benefits and the ups and downs of writing retreats on your own, like completely alone. It's a very different experience. And I am bringing back monthly workshops as well. So this month, in fact, in 2 weeks from the day that this goes out, September 17th, Lynn Bohart is going to teach us marketing for authors who hate marketing, which sounds like everyone should go to that. It is only $47. So you get the recording to it, and you're going to get all of these ideas from Lynn Bohart. It is 1 hour long. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only those who sign up and pay for the workshop get the recording. And you won't really find that recording anywhere else afterwards because it is not my IP. It is Lynn Bohart's. And so in October, we're going to learn from Louis Jordstad about writing the shadow. Since it's Halloween month, we're going to learn how to write the perfect villain. And I think that's really needed because there's actually a lot of psychology that goes into writing a good villain, right? They really have to be as deep as your main character, I think. I've been reading a lot of thrillers lately and listening to thriller writers. So they tell me that your villain should be very deep. And I think that's true. If you can tell that the villain is shallow, you're just like, I don't really know why he's that big of a threat, just like put a bullet in his head and move on. I don't, there needs to be a little bit more psychology there. So we're going to learn that on October 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Louis Georgesad. And again, it's $47. If you guys get the bundle, actually, if you buy all three of them, you get all three for $39 each, and that link will be in the show notes below. But if you buy them individually, they are more. And so then in November, on November 12th, we're going to learn from Tracy Gardner how to build a fiction series. So if you have wanted to write a series and you're not sure how to make sure that the series is cohesive and put together, and maybe you need some ideas for how to organize it, and how to leave those breadcrumbs and those trails open in one book and close them in another, you're going to want to show up November 12th at 1 p.m. with Tracy Gardner. And all those links will be in the show notes below. Okay, so that is kind of what we are going into in this fall of 2024. For all of you who are outside of America, lucky you, you are not in an election year, but those of us in the United States are in an election year. And so I would really like, since I live in DC and I am surrounded by politics all the time and people that think that they know better ways to rule the world. I say world because people in DC really think that they should rule the world as far as I can see. I need a break from them. I wonder if you can hear my annoyance in my voice. It's like when you find out traditionally published writers can be in KU and in Nook. It's okay. It's okay. I'm letting it go now. So I need a distraction, and we're going to look at story. We're going to look at storytelling, and I want to learn and to encourage you to see the world and see the people before you as those who are walking out their story. We each have a story that we're walking out, right? And in fact, the news is constantly spinning us a new story, and the podcast that we listen to on world events is spinning us a story, because story is how we relate to things. It's how we remember things better. It's kind of like making up a song. You remember with the song better than if you just had to rote memorize, right? So humans love story. This is why certain people, journalists, resonate with you more than others. And so as storytellers, as writers, especially those of fiction, but even if you're writing your memoir, even if you're writing a nonfiction book, and you're going to want to bring story to the pages that is compelling and interesting and deep enough for that person to carry it with them the rest of their lives. So even when they're done with the book, that carries within them. It's part of them. They'll ruminate on it. They'll think about it. They'll ask somebody to make a movie about it. We want those kind of stories, right? There's also the time and place for the books that are, just interesting reads, and that's totally fine. I'm actually working on, I'm thinking about maybe writing some novellas that are just sort of like quicker reads. But even if they are meant to be quicker reads or beach reads, that's the word I was looking for. If you know how to write that story, if you just have that storytelling gut in you, and you just like people enough to want to create main characters that are deep and resonate with others, those books will still stay with your readers. I mean, there are quite a few. When I was in my romance reading time, I guess, when I first got my Kindle and I was over in France and that's about all that I could read, man, there were some that maybe the storyline wasn't super deep, but there was something about the characters that was compelling and real, and they stuck with me, and I could tell you all about them. And then there are other books that I'm like, did I read that? I don't even know, right? So what I want us to really delve into is story and storytelling, and why we're telling the story, because we need to learn the things that we need to learn, but we also need to not release the gut instinct that we have that brought us to the decision to become writers. Because if you want to write a story, it's because you have that gut instinct on what would be a good story. So that's what I want to bring to you guys this season, I guess we're calling this year in the podcast. So I hope that you guys are excited about that. I am very excited about that. Again, if you want to tell me about something that you want to really hear people thinking about and talking about and digging deeper into, you can contact me at writeyourlife@catcaldwell.com. You can also do the contact page on my website, catcaldwell.com, or find me on social media. All the links are in the show notes below. Let me know what you want to hear about, or people that you have heard talking about something and you kind of want a different discussion around that topic as well. Maybe we can have a debate since it's election year. No. Okay, we're going to let that go. So next week, be sure to be back. We're going to talk to Paulette Perhash about writing, being a writer with ADHD, and what are the good things, what are the bad things, and what are the things that you can do to make your writing experience better, to feel better about yourself, and to be successful. So I will see you next week.